Hello everyone, and welcome to the Day 2 Essentials of Geometry video. Today we'll be talking about the midpoint formula and the distance formula. First, some definitions. A midpoint divides a segment into two congruent segments. So an example in this photo, M is the midpoint, which means that AM is the same distance as AB. The endpoint cuts the segment in half. A segment bisector is anything that intersects the segment at the midpoint. So DC would be a segment bisector of AB. These little dashes means that AM is congruent to MB, or that their lengths are equal. In example 1, in the diagram, RT bisects UV. That means that S is the midpoint and that RT cuts UV in half at point S. It tells me that US is 42.5 centimeters. If I know that this segment is congruent to BS, then I know this segment is also 42.5 centimeters. I know I can use the segment addition postulate to add US plus SV to get the whole segment UV, which means I can add 42.5 plus 42.5 to get 85 centimeters. In example 2, we are told that F is the midpoint of CD. We want to find the length of CM. Once again, since M is the midpoint, I know that CM is congruent or equal to MD. Since these two lengths are congruent or equal, I can set each expression equal to each other. So I can say 6x plus 4 is equal to 7x minus 2. Now subtract 6x from both sides, and that gives me that 4 equals x minus 2. And now I'll add 2 to both sides to get that x equals 6. Note in your directions that they asked you to find the length of CM. So far, all we found is x, so I still need to plug it back in to find CM. I take 6 times 6 plus 4, plugging in 6 for x. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 4 gives me 40. Next, we're going to learn about the midpoint formula. When using the midpoint formula, you're typically given two endpoints on a line or line segment, and you plug it into this formula to find the coordinates for the midpoint. First thing you always want to do is label your points. Remember, your x always comes first in an ordered pair, so I'll say that 2 is x1 and negative 4 is y1 because y always comes second in the ordered pair. 3 will be x2, and the second 3 will be y2. So now I plug all my information into this formula. So I'm going to take x1, or 2, plus x2, which is 3, set it over 2. Now I'm going to add my y coordinates, negative 4 and 3, and divide that by 2. 2 plus 3 is 5 over 2. So we're still dividing by 2. And negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1, still being divided by 2. Now they've given me two new endpoints of a new segment. Once again, I'm going to label everything. 3 will be x1, 5 will be y1, 7 will be x2, and negative 9 will be y2. Plugging into the same formula we used above. So I'm going to add my two x coordinates, 3 plus 7, and put that over 2. Then I'm going to add my two y coordinates, 5 plus a negative 9, and put that over 2. 3 plus 7 we know is 10, so it's 10 over 2. And 5 plus a negative 9 is negative 4 divided by 2. Now in this case I can simplify the fraction, so you always want to do that. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Now, notice in example C, the information they've given you is a little different. They've given you that the midpoint of the segment XY is 1, 2, and one endpoint is the point 4, 1. We want to use this information to find the other endpoint Y. Instead of plugging we don't plug both points into this formula because they've already given us the midpoint. We're no longer looking for the midpoint. So what I recommend you do is figure out how many you added or subtracted from 4, your x value, to get down to 1, your new x value. In order to get from 4 to 1, I have to subtract 3. So now what I'm going to do to figure out my new x coordinate is I'm going to take 1 and subtract 3. Now we're going to figure out what we did to get from 1 to our new y coordinate 2. I see I have to add 1 to get to 2. So now to find out what my new y coordinate is, I'm going to take 2 and do the same thing. Add 1. This leaves us with a new point, negative 2, 3. 1 minus 3 is negative 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. Next, the midpoint JK is M, the point 6, 3. So once again, they've already given me the midpoint. One endpoint is J for negative 2, and they want me to find the endpoints of K. Once again, I'm going to look at what did I do to get from 4 to 6. It looks like I added 2, so I'm going to add 2 to 6 again, giving me my new x coordinate of 8. Now when I'm looking for my y coordinate, I went from negative 2 to 3. So that means I added 5 to get from negative 2 all the way up to 3. So I'm going to add 5 again to 3. 5 plus 3 gives me 8. Next formula we're going to talk about today is the distance formula. You can see it on the screen. Distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Once again, it's important to label your x and y values. Remember, x always comes first in an ordered pair and y always comes second. We're going to use the distance formula to find the distance between the two given points. So we're just going to plug all these points into my formula above. x2 is 5 and x1 is 2. So 5 minus 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 6 squared. 5 minus 2 is 3, and since we're subtracting a negative here, this is going to become negative 2 plus 6, which gives me 4. 3 squared plus 4 squared. 3 squared is 9, and 4 squared is 16. Add those two numbers together to get 25. Square root of 25 is 5, and we are done with our problem now. We have found the answer. For part B, we're going to do the same thing. Plug our values into the formula. x2 is 12 minus 4 and 3 minus 9. 12 minus 4, 3 minus 9. 12 minus 4 gives me 8, and 3 minus 9 gives me a negative 6. It's important to use parentheses here, especially if you're plugging into a calculator. 8 squared is easy enough, 64. Negative 6 times negative 6 is going to give me a positive 36. 64 plus 36 is 100, and the square root of 100 is 10. For part C, once again, we're still using our same formula because we're still looking for the distance. Plug in my x's, 4 minus 2 squared plus a negative 1 minus 3 squared. 4 minus 2 gives me 2 squared, and negative 1 minus 3 gives me negative 4 squared. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16, and that gives me the square root of 20. In class, your teacher's going to talk to you about how to break down a radical like this. We won't want you to leave it like this. We want you to put it in simplest radical form. We'll explain that in class. Lastly, for part C, plugging our numbers in, we get 1 minus a negative 3 squared plus negative 4 minus 2 squared. 1 minus a negative 3 gives me a positive 4, and negative 4 minus 2 gives me a negative 6. 4 squared is 16. Negative 6 squared is a positive 36. add these two numbers together to get the square root of 52. Once again, in class, we will discuss how to put this into simplest radical form. Those are all of our video notes for the day. We'll see you in class next time.